my darlings. Welcome to True Scary Stories, Volume 3. I hope that you got a chance to listen to Volume 1 and Volume 2. The good part is at least none of these stories are connected. But this is Volume 3, and I got a new series of creepy tales for you. So I hope you enjoy this one. And if you didn't get a chance to listen to Volume 1 and Volume 2, please go and check those other two videos out and let me know what you think in the comments. But I'm going to start right into this new series of creepy stories. And I hope you will enjoy this Volume 3 just as much as you enjoyed Volume 1 and 2. And I want to say welcome and I'm glad you're here to join me in tonight's episode. So, you ready to hear the first story, which is titled, My Wife is Here? Well, here we go. Used to do hospice home care. People who are actively dying see things. Thing is, it's almost always friends or family who have passed before, angels or demons, never like a random dog, or a kid they never met, or a plate of spaghetti. The rational explanation, it's cultural. Even if you're not a believer, everyone hears stories about white light and beckoning relatives and angels and demons. So that's what people see when their oxygen levels drop and their bodies are shutting down and they start hallucinating. The explanation that scares the fuck out of me, someone with one foot in this world and one in the next can see things I can't. The scariest one was a man who seemed totally lucid. Normally, dying people don't make tons of sense and will occasionally say something like, "My son is here. Do you see him?" And then back to nonsense. This guy was otherwise in his right mind, except he was telling me about his wife who was sitting at the end of his bed, and she had dyed her hair again, despite him always liking her natural gray. But at least she had on that blue dress she always looked so good in. He had a perfectly rational conversation with her about how he missed her, but the doctor said he would see her soon and not to worry. He wasn't scared. He knew he was a very old man, and no one lives forever. Part of me thinks he was just having a different experience of death/hallucination. Part of me thinks he was fucking with me. Part of me believes she was there. I just couldn't see her because I'm not dying. I always worried one day I would be able to see what they saw. What then, huh? That's creepy. I don't think I would ever want to see a spirit or what we think are ghosts. But the next story, and this one is titled, Lock Your Doors. I lived in one of the oldest apartments in the town I was living in. Couldn't sleep one night, but eventually I must have dozed off as I started having an incredibly vivid dream of myself laying in bed. Everything the exact same as in reality, except my door opened and a creepy old lady started ominously walking towards me. I woke up and freaked out. I always lock my door, but just to be sure, I went and checked it. It was unlocked. My God. I know that these stories are short, these true accounts, but I hope some of them aren't true. They're a little too creepy to be true, so. But here's the next one. This one is titled In Utero Memory. Or should I say, In Utero Memory. Sorry about that. When I was pregnant with my first, I had the worst night terrors. One night, I was having a night terror where aliens were hovering over the house and had taken me to the dining room where they laid me on the table and tried to remove the baby from my uterus. I never got back to sleep that night. Never thought of it again until a few years later. My son was now 4. We are driving home from somewhere when he pipes up from the back seat. Hey Mom, do you remember the night the aliens tried to take me from your belly and you said no? The goosebumps were instant, and the husband and I just looked at each other out of the corner of our eyes. Still freaks me out. Oh, jeez. Her baby actually did have a memory of some space dudes trying to take him out of her belly. That's nice. But anyway, this next story is titled Grandfather. My grandfather was a truck driver and taught me everything I know about driving, especially in snow. I used to work at a drugstore, and one night I was closing another store in our chain, and we had a snow squall that unexpectedly dropped a few inches of snow in our area. I wasn't very familiar with the area, and I had my mom's car, so I wasn't used to the car either. The snow was still coming down, and I couldn't see, so I was creeping home and panicking as I saw cars spinning out all around me. All of a sudden, I saw a light in my passenger side view mirror, and I turned my head, and sitting in the passenger seat, plain as day, I saw my dead grandfather. I heard him say he knew that I wasn't freaked out by a little snow. And then I heard his voice rattling off all the things he taught me about driving in the snow. I looked back towards the road, and then he was gone. It was a calming experience when I saw him, and it was more okay. Pop's here, I'm okay, instead of OMG, you're supposed to be dead. What the? And I stopped panicking and got home without a problem. It was most likely just my brain, eyes, whatever, playing tricks on me to get me to stop panicking. But to this day, it still freaks me out. I know that would probably freak me out. But I'm glad he made it through the snow. I don't know if I've seen your dead grandfather though. Yikes. But to the next story, and this one's titled Evil Laughter. Me and my family woke up in the night to the sound of manic laughing, like evil manic laughing. All of us heard it. It was coming from the attic. My dad, being not superstitious or scared of anything, was white as a sheet. He pulled the attic ladder down and went up to find an old Deralia cow alarm clock that had faulty sound randomly going off. Don't believe any supernatural activity made it go off. Just hearing a manic, evil laugh in the middle of the night in the attic made us shit ourselves. Yeah, I guess, yeah, it would scare me to that point. That sounds creepy. I hope they were able to continue to get a good night's sleep, or whatever. On to the next story, and this one's titled, Someone Watching Me from the Woods. One time, I drove back to college after Christmas, but before the winter break was over, so I was the first of my roommates to get back to the house we were renting. Our house was in a pretty isolated spot on the outskirts of a town in upstate New York. I pulled into the driveway behind the house, went to the trunk, grabbed one of my bags, and then ran inside because I had to use the bathroom so badly. I'd been on the road for over 5 hours. I was inside the house using the bathroom for maybe 5 minutes. Afterwards, I went back outside to get the rest of my stuff from the car, and there were footprints in the snow all around it. Now, as I said, I was alone in the middle of nowhere. The only set of footprints should have been mine from where I'd gotten out of the car on the driver's side, walked to the trunk, and then walked to the back door. Yet now, there were another set of footprints circling the car, and then leading into the woods at the back of the property. It appeared that the footprints had originally come from the woods as well. I had left my trunk open when I was inside because I'd assumed I was alone and nothing had been taken. But someone had seen me arrive, come out of the woods, circled my car, and returned to the woods. I grabbed the rest of my shit, locked my car, ran into the house, and locked the doors. You know what? Forget it. No way I would live in the middle of the woods. It's just too many things. You got Bigfoot, possible grizzly. She might have her cubs. They said they like to attack you. I think I would stay out of the woods. I just keep me in the city. But whatever. I always got to put my 2 cents in. But that's just my opinion. The next story, this one is titled Mountain Cottage. Moved into a cottage on the mountain. My backyard was a tree line. The moon lit everything so beautifully well, it hardly seemed like night at all. I began having recurring dreams. It was the same dream every single time. In my dream, I would see myself laying asleep in bed, and then it switched from third-person view to first-person view. In the dream, I awoke to a whispering female voice. A thirst hit me. In the dream, it was unbearable. I would climb out of bed, open the French doors, and head to the kitchen sink to get a glass of water. As I neared the sink, the voice would get louder and louder, but I still couldn't make it out. It was as if it were a foreign language, but not one that I had heard before nor since. Then, standing in my kitchen and looking out the window right above the sink to the tree line in my backyard, well lit by the moon's light, the voice suddenly became clear. She said, "The devil is in the woods." At this point, a shadow darted quickly behind the tree line. I would then wake up from my dream, standing in my kitchen in the exact spot that I was in the dream. This happened almost every week for the entire duration of time that I lived in that house. It also always happened close to or right at 3 a.m. We claimed at 3 o'clock in the morning, that's when the spiritual doorways open, but that's pretty creepy. And this next story is titled Ghost Mom. I remember one time as a child, I was home on a Saturday morning. For a bit of context, back then, my mom would usually go into work on Saturday mornings and be home usually by 12 p.m. Now back to the story. I was sitting on the couch watching TV. The time started approaching 12, which meant that my mom was almost home. I very vividly remember hearing a car door close, hearing the car lock, and my mom walking into the house, calling my name. When I got up to go greet her, there was no one there. Still creeps me out. Yeah, that creeped me out too. Maybe you might have been dreaming, I don't know. That's weird. This next one is called The Window. When I was younger, my older cousin lived with us for a bit because she was having behavioral problems at home. My parents had to go at night to pick someone up from the airport, so they left my brother and I with her. My brother and I were both in bed in my room at this point. I think it was a school night, and she was up in the other room doing homework or something. But she finished up, so she comes into my room to lie down with us. But as soon as she opens the door, our house alarm starts going off. She quickly shut the door and come over to me to tell me to be quiet before going back to hold the door closed since it didn't have a lock. My brother, who's older than me by a year, then woke up very confused about what was going on. So the alarms going off, we're all scared out of our minds, and we can't even call for help because our phone was taken away and we were too young to have one. Our only option is to get to one of the landlines, one in the kitchen and one in my parents' bedroom. So we all get ready, and at the same time, we all run to my parents' room and lock their door. My cousin checks their bathroom and closet to make sure no one is hiding in there before calling my parents to let them know what's happening. They say they're only 2 minutes away, so don't worry. But let me tell you, those were the worst 2 minutes of my life. After all is said and done, we found out through the alarm company that the window in my parents' room is what tripped the alarm. And that's the room we moved to. To this day, my parents are convinced she was just trying to sneak in a boyfriend or something, but I'm certain someone was trying to rob the place, or worse, and got scared off by the alarm because of how completely terrified my cousin looked. I don't know that cousin. That cousin is a wild child. Well, did you guys enjoy Volume 3? I certainly hope so. I'll be back next time with Volume 4. And I know these stories are pretty short, but like I said, I know I keep saying that they're supposed to be true accounts and they were shared, and I hope they're creepy. They seem pretty creepy. They're like that short and sweet creepy thing going on. So, but I'll be back with Volume 4, and I hope you enjoy this episode of True Scary Stories Volume 3. And like I said before, if you haven't checked out Volume 1 and Volume 2, please do. And let me know what you think in the comments on this episode. And I'll be back next time with the rest of these creepy tales for you. So I want to thank you again for joining me tonight. And I hope you enjoyed this one. And I want to thank you for your support. And thank you for being here. Until next time, good night, my darling.